Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are having a very nice summer. It's actually winding down here. We are at the end of August, so a little sad but also kind of excited because I have become a fall and winter girl over the years. Don't know when that happened. I think it was after I had my son, but I am just craving some cooler weather and ready to get on with it. And then I'm also super excited because we have so many trips planned, so I cannot wait. So make sure you are subscribed to my channel because we will be vlogging all of those trips, and I am just so excited because we are going to be staying at some bucket list resorts down in Disney, and we're just going to have so much fun. I am so excited. One of the biggest questions that I always get is flying with a toddler. It is something where it's scary, even with a baby, with a toddler, because let's be real, these aren't little robots that we're raising. They are little humans. They have minds of their own. They do what they want to do, and they, if they want to have a tantrum, if they want to have a full-on meltdown on the plane, they're gonna do it. And if you're like us and you travel quite frequently, you're gonna experience it. You're gonna experience a meltdown, you're gonna have a baby that just won't stop crying no matter what you do. It's just gonna happen. So not to scare anybody, but kind of just to reassure you that, no baby can be perfect. But then I remember our very first flight with our son. He was only 7 months old, and we took him to Florida. So it was a 2-hour flight from where we're at. And I remember I was so nervous just because I was like, I do not want to be one of those people who are on the plane with a screaming baby and, everybody's looking at you. Everybody's, just wanting you to shut your kid up. But honestly, my son surprised us and he did amazing. He did absolutely amazing. So now he is over 2 years old and he has been on dozens of flights, and there have been times where he has had meltdowns. He has, he's been cranky, whatever, and it's just out of our control. We just do what we can. So I think it scares a lot of parents when you think about flying with your kids, whether they are babies, whether they're toddlers, whether they're preschoolers. You just never know what to expect. So I'm kind of gonna try to give some of my top tips on whether you have, this is more geared towards toddlers, but this works for babies, this works for, preschoolers. So let's go ahead, let's see what I have come up with, because I have definitely learned a lot over the years. The very first things that I have learned when it comes to planning a trip, when it comes to booking all of your flights, is to book your flight based on your toddler or baby schedule. And what I mean by that is if you have a nap time, if you have, bedtime, make sure you book your flight according to that. And I have had flights in the past where we have wanted to book possibly a 5 a.m. flight because it was maybe so much cheaper, and it's like looking at the price tag, you're like, oh, okay, we could be down there earlier, we could, save a little bit of money and do that. But then you kind of think about it, and I'm thinking, okay, I have a toddler who, he sleeps very well, sleeps on his own, and he wakes up around like 7:30, 8. So I'm thinking, okay, if we have a 5 a.m. flight, that means I'm gonna have to wake my household up at 3 a.m. just to get down to the airport. And like I said, the money part kind of sounds great and being there early sounds great, but then I'm just thinking about the whole day, and I'm like, do I really want to ruin the entire day just because nobody got any sleep? We got like maybe a couple hours of sleep for the night before, and we did it all so we could save a couple extra dollars. So I really like to be strategic when I plan our flights and when we book our flights. And that also includes nap time. Now, sometimes that's just out of your control because honestly, it takes a while for us to get down to the airport. It takes, you're there for how many hours waiting for the plane, and then you're there, you're on the plane, we're on for 2 hours. So it kind of interferes with nap time. But we like to be a little bit more strategic. So our son naps between like 12 and 1, goes down, and he'll nap for like 2 hours. So we try to get flights that are usually around like 9:30, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. even. And then that way, when we get down to Orlando, which will be, anywhere from like noon till, 1 or 2 o'clock, we know, okay, our son's gonna be cranky a little bit, but we know that he got a good night's sleep before because we didn't have to wake him up to get to the airport super early. And then we can kind of like make a little bit of nap time in the car. He always falls asleep in the car after we get to the airport, and get him in his car seat. He's, you know, pretty good in that sense. So we know that we're gonna get at least like a little bit of nap in there, and then, you know, the next day is gonna be a whole new day. So we'll go to bed early, and then that way, especially if we're going to Disney, we can get him rested up and get him, you know, ready for the parks the next day. So just, it's gonna be based on your family schedule. It's gonna be based on, you know, if you have a baby and you have a baby that will sleep on you, that's amazing. I definitely miss the days when our son could do that, but he is, like I said, over 2, so he cannot do that anymore. But we definitely would rather spend the extra dollars and make the flight times work with our schedules instead of the other way around. So if you can do it, if you can swing it, and most of the time, this past trip that I booked, I was looking at the flight times and I'm like, 5 a.m., like really didn't want to do it, but that was like really our only option. And then I was looking at a 10:30 flight time and I'm like, do we want to pay the extra money? And it altogether was only an extra $75 more. So I kind of just weighed the options with my husband, and we both decided, we said, you know what, for our own sanity, for everybody else's happiness, we're not going to do the 5 a.m. We're going to book the 10:30. So like I said, look at the options, look and see what the price difference is, but highly recommend booking your flights according to your schedule and not the other way around. And then my next tip is to actually prepare yourself for the day of and going to the airport. If you have to familiarize yourself with the airport, if you don't typically fly out of that airport, and maybe you have to figure out, okay, where is it at? How long is it going to take us to get there? Make sure you do that. Make sure you just kind of give yourself a game plan, because I know that that's, you know, only part of your vacation, but I mean, it's a big part. Traveling it's a lot, especially with kids. So you need to kind of be the one to do your research, make sure you know everything there is to know basically about the airport. That's how I am. I love kind of keeping up to date, seeing, I know the airport that we fly out of, they're doing a lot of construction. So I like to, you know, keep up to date with that, seeing if there's anything that's changing. I know that they're building a whole new terminal. So I like to look at that. I like to see whatever I need to know about it. And then also, you want to make sure you delegate the job. So if you're flying with your husband, if you're flying with other family members who can help out, like grandparents, make sure you give everybody jobs to do. So for us, what we like to do is we do like to just park our car ourselves, and my husband will take care of the luggage. He will hold that, and then I will be the one to push the stroller. If I need to help with luggage, I can, and then I will deal with our son. And then once we get into the airport, I am the one taking care of our son. We're checking in our luggage together, and then that way we can take everything up. We are kind of organized, and it's not just mass chaos whenever we're getting to the check-in desk. So it makes it a little bit easier. And then if we need to, if we have too much luggage to where, you know what, we are not able to both, you know, push it, we can't push the stroller and then also take all this luggage, what we'll do is my husband will go and park the car. I will sit with my son and then all of our luggage in the terminal there, and then that way my husband can, you know, park the car and hurry up and come back to us. It takes like a total of 15 minutes. So make sure, like I said, you know, you give everybody jobs. And then also, if your little ones are old enough to help, give them jobs too. Give them the job of pushing their own suitcase. Make sure that, you know, you keep an eye on them so that way they're not going off into the airport with your luggage. But give them something to do, because it can be boring for a little kid to just sit in a stroller the entire time. So make sure you're letting them help, whether that's checking in and letting them print off the little luggage tags. I know we always do that at Southwest. Let my son help with that, and just let them be involved in it, because it's so much fun to let them do that. So we always like to keep them involved. And then one other thing that you do want to make sure that you are, you know, doing your research beforehand, making sure you can do it before, is the prepay parking. I know the airport that we park at, they have an option where you can prepay for parking, and it saves us a couple extra dollars. And I mean, it goes a long way. If you do it every single time, if you do the prepay parking, then you can save a couple extra dollars every time you travel. So we do that. We make sure, you know, whether that's a couple nights before, we will prepay for our parking and then get that ready. And for our airport, you can choose whether you want to do the economy parking, which is what we do because it's cheapest, or you can do, you know, long-term, short-term, whatever you want to do. So we make sure we always do that. We always prepay for our parking and then have that ready to go. My husband will have a little barcode on his phone that he can go in through the gate and scan, and then we just find our parking space. So it is very convenient, very nice. So look up to see if your airport does the prepay parking. I'm sure a lot of international airports do now. I know the small regional airport that we sometimes fly out of right by our house, it does not even charge us for parking, so we don't even have to do any of that. So if you have free parking at your airport, lovely. That is amazing. So make sure you utilize that instead. Next tip is to make going through security so much easier. This is the part that I think stresses everybody out. TSA is stressful in itself anyways, and once you add kids into the mix, it's a lot because let's be real, you have a lot of stuff. You're dealing with a toddler, a child, a baby, you know, and you're just trying to get through. You're just, you know, whether it's taking off all your stuff and putting everything in there, making sure your liquids aren't in the bag, you have to, you know, get through, and then everybody's yelling at you, especially if it's early in the morning and you just have a long line of people. And then I've had people who just, you know, of course they see a child and they roll their eyes, and it's, you know, I guess people with kids can't travel, but you know, a different story for a different day. So it can be a lot. So what I always say, one of my biggest tips whenever you're going through security to help yourself is less is more. Whatever you do not have to have with you, whatever you can leave in your checked bag, you know, just stowed away in your carry-on, just leave it. Do not bring it with you. Do not bring an abundance of things just because you're worried that you might need it. Just put it away. Just keep it away. That is one of the things I have overpacked before. I have had so many things, and I felt like it has just made things so much more stressful going through security and trying to, you know, grab everything, put everything away. It is so much easier when I just say, you know what? We do not need it all. I know what my son needs. We will bring the necessities, and then that is it. So usually for us, that means that we are bringing a diaper bag with my son's items in there. We have the stroller, and then my husband will have a backpack, and then that is it. We do not deal with a carry-on if we don't have to. We will just make it so we have a lot less than what we, you know, would have done in the past. So it makes it just so much easier to do that. And then if you do have little ones where you're gonna take a stroller to somewhere like Disney, like we always do, then make sure you take everything off of that stroller. So I know for Disney, I like to bring a lot of like stroller caddies, side bags, different things, stroller fans to put on the stroller whenever we're walking through the parks. Do not do it. Don't do it. Do yourself a favor and put all that stuff into your checked bag or your carry-on, whatever, but do not put it on the stroller when you're going through TSA. And that way it'll make it so much easier for them to check everything, because what they're gonna do is you're gonna have to take that seat off of the stroller if it comes off. We have the Upper Bay Vista V2. And so we have to take that off, and then we have to push like the other part so they can check it and wipe it down and do all that fun stuff. So make sure you just save yourself the time and do not have anything on there. And then take the snack tray off too. Put the snack tray in your checked bag, because we have found with the snack tray is it comes off very easily, and the, you know, luggage guys and the people who are, you know, God bless them, they do their jobs, but they are not gentle with your stroller. They do not, you know, care if they break it. So do yourself a favor and make sure you take that snack tray off so that way you don't lose it, you know, God forbid, and whenever they're throwing it around under the plane. So always take off your stuff. Just whatever is extra on that stroller, you just want basically nothing in there. Nothing in there but your child, and that way you can push them through the airport, because I do like having the stroller with us. I do not check it whenever we check in at the desk before we go through TSA. I like to have it because it's something to contain my child, and so that way if I need to put him in there for a minute, if we're gonna go get food at the airport, if my husband's, you know, maybe going to the restroom and I'm gonna go do something, I can push my son in the stroller and then not have to know like, oh my gosh, where is he? Where is he running around at? So it's a nice way to keep him contained. So another kind of side tip is I like to always have the stroller with me, and I never check it at the check-in desk. I always take it, I gate check it. So before we get on the plane, I get the nice little yellow tag, and then they take it under the plane for me. So then that way, when we get off the plane, when we're at Orlando or wherever, it's there waiting for us. So then that way we don't have to wait for it whenever, you know, we're getting our bags and stuff. So another side tip there, always take the stroller too. And then to make security a lot easier too, I would highly recommend looking into TSA PreCheck. And TSA PreCheck is that nice line that you always see is not crowded. It's not the regular TSA line. They are a lot more relaxed. So they let you put on your shoes. They keep your shoes on, and they are letting you, you know, keep your belts on. They're pretty relaxed with you. Keep your jackets on. It's not like the regular TSA line. They're a lot more relaxed. And I have just found with a child that makes it a lot easier. So it's less of a waiting, so that way we don't have to entertain our son in line a lot. And then it also makes it a little less stressful for us. And it can be a little pricey, but it is good for 5 years. So I would highly recommend looking into it. And then if your child is under the age of 13, then they are free to go on TSA with you. So TSA PreCheck. So you don't have to pay a separate price tag for them. So our son automatically gets TSA PreCheck since he's with us. So highly recommend looking into it. Like I said, I know it's an extra cost, but if you're gonna be traveling a lot like we do, then it is definitely something I would recommend. So security is always the worst thing. So once you get through security, I feel like that's always the nice, like, okay, like we're through, it's good, let's get to our gate. But one thing that I always recommend, especially if you have toddlers, little kids, is look to see if your airport has a little kids section, like a kids area, kids play area. Our airport has the nicest kids area. They just redid it all. It is all themed on Daniel Tiger. So it is just the loveliest place. And we love to take our son there because it is kind of a kill two birds with one stone, to where we can take him there. He can get a lot of his wiggles out. He can entertain himself. He's having fun, and we can kind of just sit and relax and like take a deep breath and debrief and do whatever we need to do. But it is the best spot. We love it. We love, you know, flying out of our airport because we know that we have that spot for him and he can play in and he can have fun there. So if you're doing that research beforehand, like I told you to, you will know if your airport does have a kids area. Okay, sorry, got a phone call. If things are shifted around, that is why I had to move and take that phone call. So anyways, my next tip is make sure that you fill up those little bellies. So it's just kind of a routine anyways. Whenever we get through the airport, we're usually flying out in the morning, like I said, because those are the times that work for us. So we usually find it fun to get a little something before we get on the plane, some kind of breakfast item, some kind of brunch item. So we will usually grab something, and then that's something too where we know, okay, that's gonna rule out hunger on the plane. So that way we can provide our son with, you know, something substantial before we get on. So we know if he is getting, you know, a little upset while we're flying, it's not because of a hungry situation. He's not getting hangry. He might just be tired, who knows? But we like to always, you know, fill up our bellies and then also fill up theirs. So we do that. Usually we'll get something, you know, quick to go from, you know, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, whatever, and we'll take that to that little kids area. So then that way he can come and he can play and then get, you know, a couple bites, because he's that type of kid. He won't sit and eat for a, you know, nice long time. He will just instead just come and take a bite and then run away. So if you know, you know, but it makes it easier for us because then we find too that he does not, you know, have as many meltdowns on the plane. So make sure you're taking that time, you know, giving yourself enough time, and then doing your research as well to know what you're going to get your family. Because if you have allergies, if your child has allergies, then you're going to need to know, okay, what exactly are we going to get? You don't want to be wandering through the airport trying to figure out what to feed yourselves, what to get yourselves. And then you're going to want to make sure that you are doing those potty breaks or diaper changes right before you get in line to board that plane. So we always make sure we give ourselves at least a good 10 minutes right before we go get in line we usually fly Southwest. I know they're gonna be changing that, but before we get into that pre-boarding line, we like to go and change our son's diapers. So that way it's nice and fresh for the plane. So we don't have, a diaper full whenever we get on the plane and we're like, oh no. So we like to make sure that we have that fresh diaper, and then we give ourselves a nice chance to go and use the potty before we board the plane. So, and then if you have little ones that are potty trained, make sure they go and they get their, they get their potty breaks and they do whatever they need to do. I'm gonna be learning that soon because we're gonna be potty training our son soon. So we'll have to figure that out. Sorry if you hear a little bit of background noise. My husband is working downstairs in our basement trying to get that all finished up because we are redoing that. So if you hear something, that is what it is. I apologize. But our next tip is that you are gonna wanna delegate before you board what jobs everybody has, because that's another thing where it can be a little stressful getting on the plane, getting all your stuff, getting your kids on the plane, making sure everybody has their boarding passes. So make sure you're delegating things. What we like to do is I like to hang on to my son's boarding pass and my boarding pass, and then my husband will take care of his. And then my husband will also take care of the stroller for us. So I am dealing with our son. My husband is dealing with a stroller. So that way he's gonna take it and he's gonna push it down the little connector. What do you call that thing? I forget. But he's pushing it down there, and then that way he can fold it up for us while my son and I are walking onto the plane, and then we will grab our seats and I will get him situated, and my husband will also carry any extra bags. If we do have a carry-on or anything like that, he will take care of that. So make sure you're delegating it, whether it's, someone's holding the boarding passes, someone is taking care of the kids, someone's taking the food, whatever you need to do, someone's finding their seats. I know on Southwest we have to, as we board, we get our seats. So it's not like we have assigned seats. So make sure, you give those jobs to whoever. And then little kids, sometimes they like to hold the boarding passes. Let them take it to the people, let them scan it. They love doing that stuff. So we, let our son hold it, and then he lets us scan them. Now we won't let him hold it throughout the airport because we don't want him losing it. Although it's on our phones, we just don't want that floating around. So we like to hold on to it, and then we'll let him, scan it for the person, hold it up for them. So make sure, like I said, you're giving your little ones jobs to do, things that they would like to, just get them involved with it. So to make the travel fun. So you're finally on the plane. One of my next tips is to bring lots of yummy treats and snacks. Snacks are the things that entertain kids the most, I have found. Snacks are one of the best things. And we like to bring treats that my son doesn't typically get. So we will bring some nice healthy lollipops. Those are especially helpful for the pressure. We like to give those to him because he doesn't have a pacifier anymore. He hasn't had a pacifier for a year. So that definitely helps with going up and down in the plane. So that way his little ears can kind of pop on their own since they don't know how to do it yet. If your little one does know how to do that, then it's a little bit easier, but make sure you are bringing something, like I said, like lollipops work great for us. There's also pouches. He loves applesauce pouches, so we will bring those for him because that helps with the pressure. Any type of drinking helps as well. So just make sure you're bringing some yummy treats, getting those snacks. If you're bringing them from home like we do, make sure you have them prepared, and then that way you can easily pull them out for, like I said, whenever you're doing takeoff and then landing. Because let's be real, my ears get uncomfortable, so you want to help your little ones when it comes to that, because nobody wants, a screaming child when their ears are just bothering them while they're on the plane, especially during takeoff, because then you have that whole flight to try to calm them down and try to help their ears. Along with that, you're gonna wanna go ahead and get some new toys to bring for the plane ride for some entertainment for your child. And these are gonna be things that your child has never seen before. So that way it's something to keep them preoccupied, even just for a little bit. One of the hacks I love to do is going to the dollar store or going to the dollar section at Target and trying to find some cheap little toys, because kids aren't gonna care how much they are. They don't need to be these big expensive things. I usually spend a total of like $10 for my son for the whole trip just to bring, new little things for the plane ride. So make sure, like I said, you're bringing new coloring books, just new toys. I know like they have like a bunch of little popper things that you can get. Any type of stickers. My son is into stickers now, so I will go there and try to find, any sticker books, something like that he can play with. So just kind of helping to try to do that. I can link any of the stuff that I have below that I love to bring. I know I have a couple of things on Amazon that I love to, kind of bring for toy-wise, and it's super cheap, and it usually comes in multiples, so that way you have a bunch for trips to go on to. I get like a big pack of Play-Doh, do that. My son loves that. So that is something that you're gonna wanna definitely do because, like I said, it keeps them entertained and it keeps them preoccupied even for a little bit. And then if you go through all those toys, if you know, they don't want any of those new toys, they're just done with them, and you still have, you know, a little bit to go on your flight. One of the things that I always tell people, no matter what, it is vacation. So if you want to cheat a little bit on screen time limits, whatever, bring the tablet, just bring it. Even if you are thinking my child's not gonna need it, we have all that we need, bring it just in case. For me, it feels so good just to have it because I know if my son is having a meltdown, I am trying everything. I am trying the snacks, the new toys. I have that tablet. So it kind of gives me a sense of relief to sit there and be like, okay, like at least we have that worst case scenario. So I'm telling you right now, just bring it. You don't have to use it right away. You can use it as much as you want. You are free to figure out your screen time limits, whatever you want to do. But I'm just telling you, just have it. Hide it from your kids. That way they don't see it. So, you know, they don't know it's an option even. But it will just help you out. I'm just thinking about you, honestly. So as a parent, I know how it feels when you just can't calm your child down. But that tablet has saved us a couple of times, I know for a fact. So bring it, bring headphones if you need to. I mean, most of the time, especially if you're flying somewhere like Orlando, you have so many kids on the flight, so it's loud anyways. People aren't gonna care if you have a video up that's gonna make a little bit of noise. Just turn it down a little bit, but don't have it blasting. But we turn it up so my son can maybe just hear it and, you know, nobody else can hear it around us. But make sure you bring that, bring the tablet. I promise you, you will be so happy you did. And then so finally, you made it, but one other piece that a lot of people forget about is you need to have a game plan for whenever you get off the plane. So again, it's delegating the jobs, giving your husband something to do, giving, you know, grandparents something to do. Maybe they take the kids. My husband, he always goes, I will take our son, I will take care of him. We will usually take him off the plane and I will go straight and give him a diaper change. That way, you know, he's not sitting in a soiled diaper for a long time. And my husband, he will wait for the stroller, which will come there at the little thing. I can't think of the word anymore, whatever it's called. But he will wait for that. And then that way we can meet up after I am done changing his diaper, after my husband has gotten the stroller. And we can then figure out, okay, we have a game plan. We are going to go get some food real quick because it might be lunchtime. You know, we know our son might be getting hungry. So we want to go get that. And then one of us will go run and get maybe some lunchtime things. And then one of us will, you know, stay with our son and kind of figure that out. And then we have to figure out, okay, who is going to be dealing with the transportation part? Who's going to be going to do the rental car? Who's going to be getting the checked luggage? It's a lot. I mean, I'm telling you, having a game plan beforehand is so much better. So my husband's usually, if we do rent a car, he is the one with his name on the rental car. So he's usually the one going to get the car, and then I will be getting the luggage if we need to get our checked bags. So it is very important, like I said, to have those game plans so you're kind of not fumbling and maybe even arguing in the airport because you don't know who's doing what and the kids are running around and it's just a disaster. It is so much nicer to have that plan, to take a little bit of time beforehand to plan that out, and then that way it's less stressful, everybody's happier. Just do yourself a favor, plan this stuff out, plan it so that way everybody has a better start to a vacation. So those are my top tips. I hope it helped you guys. If you guys have any top tips that maybe I didn't mention in this video, leave them below for me. I love to hear what everybody else does for their kiddos when they're flying, you know, whether it is some of your babies, toddlers, whatever age, love to know what you guys do. And then, like I said, we are going to be having so many exciting trips coming up this year, so I hope you will stick around. Hope you'll subscribe to my channel, and then that way you can see when those go live. And then if you enjoyed this, if you got anything out of this, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up because it helps me, it helps my channel, and I would be really appreciative. So until next time, bye!